Hi, I'm Joe Klink, co-leader of the Aviation Club, and today I have with me Karen Ricks, Marine Corps retired Lieutenant Colonel, and she'll be speaking to our Aviation Club on Thursday, January 23rd at 1:15 in the Social Center. So welcome, Karen.
Thanks so much.
It's good to have you.
Thank you.
Karen, tell us what your weather experience has been.
When I went in the Marine Corps, we had dream sheets, and one of the occupations was weather, and I thought that would be fun. It sounded like an outside job. And so I was selected for that, and I was trained by the Navy at Lakehurst, New Jersey, and then went back to two duty stations where I was the officer in charge.
Okay, so it sounds like you've had quite a bit of weather experience. How many years did you work in weather offices?
It was 7 years.
7 years, okay, good. Weather is important to all of us, and the Aviation Club has never had a meeting about weather. So I thought it was important that we talk about this subject. And, even as private citizens, we observe the weather every day. We see it on TV, we see it on the radio. Tell us a little bit about how that weather comes to us. What goes on behind the scenes?
Well, they're really just two jobs, and it doesn't matter what weather office. You have to observe the current weather, and then you use those observations from your station or other stations that report hourly. Everybody does this worldwide, and then the forecasting is done based on the current weather plus upper level winds and surface phenomenon for whatever the length of time is for the pilots.
Does the weather observation just include humans going outside and looking at the weather, or are there other ways of obtaining that?
It's primarily the human, but they have had weather satellites, but in 1975 the GOES satellite was launched, and we're on version 16 of that now. And that gave us real-time imagery and cloud imagery.
And so some of that information comes in more or less automatically?
Comes in over a fax machine. But it's very readable now. Early on it wasn't.
And then you, as a person in the weather office, would need to take that data and determine a forecast from it.
Exactly. The pilot comes into us and tells us the flight plan, and then we fill out a form that describes the weather along the flight plan or any deviations that the pilot needs to make. And then there's dual signatures, and those can be...
A pilot is required to get a weather report then?
In the military, if they're flying IFR, and most are using instruments, even though they might be able to go visual.
And what all is included in the weather report that you would give to a pilot?
Briefly. The altimeter, the pressure, any significant winds. You usually don't care about temperature that much. Significant precipitation, and
are the weather reports that, for example, that we would receive here in Florida similar to weather reports in other parts of the world?
The same data is captured by all weather offices worldwide, and it's sent out in a certain order. And if there isn't a ceiling, we just put, that there's no clouds, no ceiling, and so it is the same in the same format. So,
and then as you talk to a pilot and you know their flight plan, you would tailor that weather forecast for that person. So in other words, if I were flying to Iraq, for example, my weather briefing would be a little different, but the same format as if I were just doing touch and goes here at the airport.
I would just add in each of your stops that you would make.
Well, that sounds really interesting. And how do you get that weather forecast, or how do you brief the pilot?
In the military, we brief in person.
Okay.
They need to come and tell us it's an eyeball transaction. And it's totally up to the forecaster what he briefs. There's no way that there's a canned forecast any place. It doesn't come across the teletyper from the satellite. So experience is very key.
And you don't really know if your forecast is going to be correct.
This
Right.
is one field that you don't know if you're accurate until after the fact.
That makes it very interesting, I'm
Yes.
sure.
A lot of jokes.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, Karen, weather is important, as I've said, to all of us, but particularly to pilots who are flying and need to know. And as a passenger on a plane, I would be happy to know that the pilot had received a very thorough and well done weather forecast. So we look forward to your presentation. I think it'll be fascinating and interesting to everyone.
Me too.
So we invite all of you to join us at the Aviation Club on Thursday, January 23rd at 1:15 in the Social Center. And may you have blue skies.
Please come.